Hello. I've done it again. I haven't checked what date it is. It's the 19th of May today, which makes it day 60. 60. We've been at this 2 months, 60 days. Holy cow.
Oi.
5 weeks of those have been with Puppet in a cast, and so us on cat duty, but I had good news today. So I was already going to give you quite a good update on Puppet yesterday, but even better now. Went to the vet today. When she first had the first operation, and then the same went for the second operation, they said allow, because it's a nasty break, probably 8 weeks of recovery time before you can have the splint off. But today was week 5 after the second operation, so actually we've been at this about 6 weeks with Puppet already. But yes, today, having had a look at the leg and had a look at sort of how she was sort of doing and all of that, the vet said that probably next week we're going to bring her in the morning on Tuesday, and they'll have her in all day. They'll give her an x-ray first thing, and all being well, if it's healed well enough, splint's coming off.
Hey.
So that means we might be out of sort of having to not let her jump up on things and stuff from next week, which would be amazing, because I think probably she'll still have, like, cause where they've taken the pins out, there'll probably be stitches. So I think it'll probably be that she's not allowed out, but it won't be that we've got to be careful about her jumping up on things. So we could give her the run of the house and then let the other cats in and out as and when they want to go. So that will be brilliant, because we won't be tied to being in certain rooms of the house a certain amount of time of a day, because that's really been the thing, is because we've got the other animals and Puppet in her own room, we've kind of been having to make sure to spend enough time in with her, but also then the other one of us is having to spend time with the other ones, which means we're not getting to be in the same room together as much as we'd like, but also just things like watching a film together, playing board games together, they just haven't really been feasible. Like, we've been catching little episodes of something here and there, or watching stuff on the iPad in with Puppet in the evening. So yeah, it'll be really nice to be able to actually have the run of the whole house for lockdown rather than being tied to a room. So yeah, that's really good. And also, the other bit of good news is that we've moved her room to, because she now is more mobile, if anything, she's too mobile. She did escape the other day. She got past me. She was down the stairs and out into the back garden and up the steps of the back garden in probably about 30 seconds. So I was running out there in my pyjamas to get her. She did not show any discomfort at any point with any of that, but it is all not allowed. So thankfully that didn't do any harm. But yeah, she is. So we've put her in the other spare. How middle class does that? The other spare room. The room that she's in is the crappy little box room. It's tiny. It's not really. Wouldn't be an adult's bedroom. You could maybe put a baby in there, kind of thing. But the other room is a sort of small double room, and that's our main second. That's our spare room for guests, basically, isn't it? So it's got a bed in there, and it's got a bit more room, and because the bed is under the windowsill, we've put a sort of step next to the bed, so she can go up on the step and then up onto the bed and then up onto the windowsill and look out at the world, which seems to have massively improved her well-being and her sort of mood like nobody's business. She seems quite content. She still does, after a while, if she's in there on her own, meow to be let out, but actually if you go in there with her, then that's usually enough for her to be like, all right, okay, fine.
Yeah, having a window, I think, has made a big difference for her.
And yeah, it's much more comfortable when we are in there. At least we can sort of be more comfortable. It's a bed, so you can lie down and make yourself comfortable, lean on some pillows and watch a film on the iPad much more comfortably. So that has been brilliant for her well-being, but also very good for ours. And so I was just starting to be like, oh, well, I can just about, okay, 3 weeks of this. Okay, well, this is better than the prospect of 3 weeks with that little room, so I was glad we moved it. But then today, to be like, oh, we might be only at this for 1 more week, so
that would be wonderful.
That was fantastic news. So it's the little things, and I've said it before, but really what all of this situation has done with lockdown as a whole, but also with the Puppet situation within lockdown, is I've really, really learned to appreciate the little things, like just being able to watch a film with you. Something like that. It's all but really grateful for it all now.
I've certainly found it, I have to admit, quite hard at points.
That's fair. It has been hard.
There's just been a sense of obviously because of lockdown, we find ourselves in a situation where we're not going to work and we're not going out and seeing people, and we're just in the house here. And you kind of go, well, that's been kind of forced upon us. It's not something we've chosen, but given that we are here in the house, it would be nice to make the most of that time, to spend quality time together, to do creative projects, to do things. And it just felt for a few weeks there, we weren't getting to spend as much time together.
Yeah.
And also some plans we had to do, some creative stuff, kind of had to fall by the wayside, or at least get put off for a few weeks. And you know, and just things that I really would like to sit down with you and play a few board games, like Time Stories and things.
God, yes, please.
And we've got a couple of games, at least one game that's still in the cellophane. So it's going to be nice.
Maybe from next week onwards, because it looks like we'll still be locked down for a while, some level of it anyway. So yeah, it will be nice to sort of get those little things back, which are only little things, but they do start to mean the world when you're deprived of them. So yeah, just the idea that we can kind of come and go within the house without having to put much thought into like having to shut doors and sort of airlock it and make sure she doesn't get out, and then make sure you're spending enough time. Yes, it has been tough, and it's been quite uncomfortable. Obviously it was miserable when it first happened because she was in a lot of pain and it was very distressing, but even then, like after that, like when she was feeling better physically, I think she was still pretty miserable, and that's hard to watch. But it probably took a bit of a toll on us as well. Thankfully, at no point were we taking it out on each other. I think we were just sort of wishing we could spend better time together. Hello, there's a little man. Oh, he's not going to jump up though. He got our hopes up then. But yeah, so that's really good news. That's lovely. And yeah, it does mean that we can get back to sort of, even if we're not being productive, just spending like good quality time together throughout this will be nice. But I think we will probably be productive, because I think we've just sort of hit our swing of having now had a little bit more leeway to sort of spend some time out of the room together. Made a few sketches, and your latest one Chris did get it up today, because we mentioned that we made it yesterday. Well, we filmed it yesterday, but obviously Chris had to edit it and put it together. It did go out today, and it's already doing pretty well. It's got already over 300 views, which is pretty good going.
So we'll put a link in the blurb for this, and we'll also add it to the YouTube playlist.
Yes, what I will do is add all of them to the playlist, so they will come in the playlist after. I might put them up tonight, so they might actually go up on the playlist now before this gets published tomorrow, but they'll be in the playlist, so you'll be able to see them there. But the link will be in the blurb as well.
And that's been fun, and we've had some nice feedback for them. And each time we do one, I feel like I'm learning a little bit more about what
I'm getting more
do
comfortable doing them as well.
Yeah, and just different things I can do with the editing. Like the first one, you know, I made one about WrestleMania weeks ago, and didn't even know that I could like put some incidental music underneath it. And
yeah, they have come along in quite a short space of time, really. And you're learning by doing as well. It's not like anyone's showing you how to do it. But
so it's been quite fun, like learning to do things. And I think rather than trying to kind of make stand-up comedy for the internet, it's been more influenced, I think, probably by YouTubers and that kind of thing. Because I watch a lot of wrestling YouTubers and some other YouTubers as well. So yeah, it's trying to go, I can't do stand-up right now, let's try and embrace this.
What else can I do that's still stretching, like still works. You're writing and still being funny, but just not doing it for a live audience, so doing it in a different sort of arena. And also,
you know, some of the ones we've done have just been a bit silly, but we've also done some that are quite topical and kind of addressing everything, things we've been talking about in the vlog, things that's been going on in the news. And that's a good way to kind of vent frustrations or kind of get our kind of point of view out there a bit.
Yeah, it's also it's immortalising how people are feeling, and I think that's important. And yeah, it's sort of not relying on what you're reading in the media, getting your views out there. That's out there now. That's made. That's done. But also, like, it's interesting because when we're making it, like, mostly what we're doing in those, particularly because you tend to sort of play the kind of the idiot in them. And so I'm usually, you cast yourself in it.
Typecast myself.
So I'm usually basically being the kind of voice of reason in them, sort of going, oh, hang on, you're not quite right there. So most of my lines are actually just things that I think. And yet, it's really hard delivering them. But I think that is literally just that I am so out of practice in performing or even, well, I've never really done stuff to camera. But yeah, just delivering lines to camera. But I think like each time we do one, I'm getting more comfortable doing it and feel less awkward. Because I just find looking at a camera a bit strange because it sort of just like doesn't feel, I guess because you're supposed to be trying to make it look how you would look as eye contact, but you're not getting any feedback that you would normally get from eye contact. I find it a bit unnerving because I don't realise how much I rely on people's body language, but I think that's why I don't like talking on the phone. So sort of trying to be natural to like you can do it when there's an audience there because you're playing to them, they're there, but doing it to camera feels very disconnected. But yeah, I think that's getting there, and I really like how they've come out. I think you've done a really good job, so well done.
Thank you. Well, the one I've put up today is all about heroes. It's about NHS workers and also about teachers.
Yep.
Which seems like a good way to segue into talking about schools.
Yeah.
Because
well, we've covered a little bit on the fact that there's talk of schools reopening over the last few days, but nobody's really actually come up with how that's going to work. But you've read a little bit of proposals on how they're going to make that work.
They're talking about getting schools open again, sort of potentially from the start of June, but they haven't really offered much in the way. They've kind of said, oh, well, obviously they need to have social distancing and it needs to be kind of safe and everything, but they haven't really offered much in the way guidelines of kind of how they're going to, what they expect people, how they expect people to do that. They haven't offered any additional funding to schools to kind of make that happen.
Again, they're just expecting people to pull things out of thin air, aren't they?
And there's almost a sense of like, well, we don't want to kind of be too explicit about what we want. It's like with everything else. They sort of go, oh, well, how do we want people back to work, but what about childcare? Well, we expect bosses to be understanding, but they're not.
But yeah, how can you be in
rules
work
or
if
laws
you...
in place? They're just saying, it's got to be.
Yeah, it's relying on people to be decent and sensible, but also like you're putting employers in an impossible situation there. Because let's say you've got 5 employees and they've all got kids. What are you supposed to do? Say, well, I'm allowed to reopen now, which means I have to reopen, but none of my staff have childcare and the schools aren't open, so I've got to what? Hire someone else? Like, you can't do that because you can't train someone. It's not feasible, which is probably why they want the schools to be open, so that some people can go back to the workforce.
Now,
but just because it would be convenient doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, unfortunately. Like, it's just not... Yeah, it's just inconvenient, but...
I've been reading about one school kind of put out, basically, they've been deleted now, but they put out their kind of guidelines.
The school's been deleted?
No, they put out some guidelines of what they wanted from kids and how they wanted to behave and things, and I actually might be mixing up guidelines from 2 different schools here, but the main one I was reading about, they put these out and they got so kind of heavily criticised by parents and other people that they then sort of deleted those and took them off. But the thing is, they're doing their best in impossible circumstances. They're putting this stuff out and the school's facing criticism, but I don't know how you do enact what's supposed to be happening and keep social distancing when you're getting young kids sent into your school.
Because I checked today actually, and the proposals are for nursery, reception, year 1 and 2, and 6 to go back. They're going to be the first ones to go back, and that's just bollocks, isn't it? Like, they're going to be the least capable at social distancing. Like, it's just insanity. Like, that is, like, if this is about safety, they're the worst ones to send. Like, I can't see the logic. And it can't even really be about education, because if it was about education, you'd be thinking, we'll send the GCSE students in, and maybe the, like, end of, like, so year 6, because they're about to go into high school, maybe those. Because actually, like, around about the age of 9... Although you'd probably slip, at least they will be able to understand, okay, you've got to sit at that table and you've got to stay there. But, like kids of 4, like, come off it.
But some of the stuff they were saying so no hot meals will be provided. If people bring in packed lunches, they've got to be entirely disposable, like no lunch boxes.
They can't even put them back in their bag to take them home with them?
They've requested that kids come in a new coat. Not a new coat, but a different coat every day. 5
coats? I guess they might not be there every day of a week, but 5?
Yeah,
no 4-year-olds have got 5 jackets.
This is it.
Maybe some do, but mine won't. It will have 1. Like, that's ridiculous. They grow very fast. 5 coats
do.
for a week of school is bonkers. Are they supposed to have 5 sets of uniform as well then?
That wasn't part of it, what I read. But they have said the kids are going to have allocated toilet times.
Right. Again, this is 4-year-olds.
Yeah. So they're going to have to kind of not use the toilet outside of their allocated time. If they do have an accident, they're expected to change themselves, or else the parent will be called in to kind of deal with them. And similarly, if they have a cut, they'll be expected to clean themselves because the teachers only have limited PPE, and those are being saved for if a child vomits. Which, yes, obviously it's ridiculous, but again, I feel bad for the schools because they're being put under a lot of pressure.
I'm not putting any blame on the schools with this. They've obviously gone, well, these are the resources we have, these are the risk areas. But, like, expecting a 4-year-old child to they fall and cut their knees all the time. They bump their head. They hurt themselves with just an insane regularity. Expecting them to properly clean and dress a wound with a plaster themselves, that's insane. That's actually insane. And also, the idea of if they have an accident, you'll have to call their parents in. Well, I kind of think the whole point of doing this is so that their parents can go to work. Their parents are going to be in work. They're not going to be able to call their parents in. So they're going to end up calling their grandparents in. And then the whole point of this was so that the grandparents don't have to, are being protected. And of course, it's going to be that grandparents have to come in and collect them. That's bonkers. And also assigned toilet time, yeah, they do kind of have that anyway because they'll be encouraged to go during breaks and things anyway. But if a kid needs a wee, what are you going to do? Make it wait? It's not going to wait. It's going to have an accident, and then you're going to be you've got to sit there in pissy trousers until we find someone to come and get you, because you can't expect a kid that age to clean and change themselves.
Also, you've got allocated toilet. They're encouraged to restrict that to breaks, but that might be like a lunch, like a half-hour window in which they can use the toilet. This is they can only have 2 children in the toilet at a time, and they've got to be disinfected afterwards. So it's not even. It's you've got to keep to your. And it's. I mean, it's going to be a nightmare. I don't know how they're going to practically do that. That's not going to be practical. The other thing is that for their break times, which, little children have a lot of energy. Yeah. So normally they go in the classroom, they try and behave, and then teachers will know by the time break time's coming along,
they've got energy to burn.
They're beginning to get a little bit restless because they've been sat still, and they've been, and playtime comes, and they all run around the playground and go mad and burn off a lot of energy. No, not anymore. They have to stand. There was a photo of this playground in the school.
I saw the photo.
With just chalk marks and spacing everyone out, and then a hula hoop around them, and the kids are expected to stay in their hula hoop, which is that's not a break time. That's a punishment.
Yeah, that's the naughty corner. That is every single one of the kids for break time being told to stand still, don't play. That's horrible. They'd probably rather not have a break.
Well, I don't know if they'll have someone. I mean, I'm thinking.
They'd have to do some organised play with that.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking out loud now, but
maybe Simon Says or something, and getting them to do
doing games and kind of leading them in something, or exercises or some. I don't know.
Yeah, that's also really because also thankfully we're in Wales, so this doesn't count for here, but my niece would be. She's in. I'm not sure if it is reception or year 1. She's just turned 5, so I sort of forget what age levels there are. But yeah, she's just turned 5. This would count for her. And the idea of her spending breaks stuck in a hula hoop on the floor and you've got to stay on your X, that's fucking dystopian. That is the stuff of Orwellian nightmares. This is grim. You've got to say, they would be better at home with parents, able to play, able to go through the work at home. And I'm sure they're not learning as much as they would be if they were in school at any level, because that's what teachers are for. That's what they're trained to do, and they do it. But a teacher is dealing with probably 30 to 35 kids at once. A parent is probably handling let's say 3 kids maximum usually. Obviously there are exceptions to that, but like, the idea that they're going to have to, like, stand in a little box in their break times really genuinely makes me quite sad, because they don't understand why this is and how important this is. Whereas older children, yeah, they'll piss and moan about it, but they will at least be able to understand and follow it to an extent. Whereas I think it feels like a very, very misjudged idea. And if it was about education, it would be older children. If it was about safety, it would be older children. So the only thing I can really see that this is about babysitting. Like, older children can stay at home without their parents being home from work. This is designed to get the most people back in work as possible.
Because in a school, an older child is going to be better at kind of social distancing, having the discipline to kind of keep themselves to themselves, face the front, but they'll also have their, GCSE stuff they need to learn, or A-level, whatever it might be. Work that's a bit higher level that maybe the teachers are trained and specialised in.
Yeah, the parents are going to struggle to help them with that work a lot more than they would with counting and ABCs and
this is it. This
like
is not
volumes and shapes and things. You can do that at home with, go and find me a cylinder and stuff.
This is not to kind of disrespect the kind of abilities of the nursery teachers or the junior school teacher, but when you've got...
No, most parents probably couldn't handle 35 of the buggers at once.
Absolutely not. And it's a very skilled job, don't get us wrong. But if you've got to expect a parent to kind of go through a workbook with their child, personally, from my point of view, certainly if we had a kid that was homeschooled, I'd rather be doing that, going through, the early...
Well, I know I
reading and writing.
Really struggle with even just sort of like year 9 level maths and
the
things,
minute it gets onto kind of trigonometry or even algebra and
I learned how to do it then, but it's been a while since I've used any of it.
Whereas hopefully most parents can do your basic kind of ABCs and your basics of reading.
And even if they're not doing the stuff that's curriculum, they can still be doing other stuff that's educational, because it's not stuff that's going to be in an exam that they're going to be tested specifically on. So you can kind of go, okay, well, I might not be covering that particular thing, but I'm making sure that our time together is educational. I'm reading stories. I'm doing like if you go for a walk, doing like spotting different types of trees and just making sure that the play is educational. At a younger age, it's easier to do that. At an older age, it's not really, and I just can't really see the logic in it. And they're saying, it's because of the important milestones that you make in learning at that age, and that it just screams bullshit. I'm sorry, that just doesn't hold water. It's not. I don't know what it is, and actually,
what are you screaming bullshit for?
to lean more in towards the sort of conspiracy theory end of the spectrum, it feels like it's designed to make people catch this and spread this. Although they have said that it seems that children who catch this tend to be better off, and there is dissension in that, because actually there's now links to kids who have a mild case of COVID, but then later are having it's triggering sort of spells of Kawasaki's disease and stuff, which is actually very dangerous. But that's not a proven link, and it's too early. This is too new to make those sorts of things with any certainty. But it's not necessarily risk-free. We lost the other day a 6-week-old baby to COVID-19, and that, that makes me quite emotional thinking about it. So it's not risk-free anyway, but also it's like, it does feel like, well, this is designed to help this spread while sort of holding the pretense of trying to be safe. And it's like it's designed to fail. This feels like it's a trap. So good fucking fair play to all the teaching unions that are saying, no, we're not happy with this. And there are councils and boroughs around England who have said, Liverpool I think was one of the first, but there are several actually that have said, we're not opening schools on the 1st of June, which is directly going against the word of the government, and there are possible penalties and penalisations, but I think the argument is there's too many of us, what are you going to fucking do? But they're playing this badly, because this level of dissension in the populace, I've complained for years at how complacent the UK public have become to sort of I keep seeing these things that seem to me like, surely this is the last straw, surely this will cause a fucking riot, and people just take it. But this feels like you're not just fucking with the people, you're fucking with their kids. And there's one thing that I think across all walks of life, most people draw the line at you fucking with their kids.
And I'm not,
like,
I don't think we've mentioned it on here either, is that all of the current members of the cabinet that have kids, all their kids go to private schools. Private schools aren't reopening till September at the earliest.
And if any schools would be capable of implementing effective social distancing, because, like, private schools, the average ratio is 1 to 8. So 1 teacher to 8 pupils. I can imagine a teacher would have a better chance of implementing social distancing with 8 5-year-olds than with 30. And yeah, and it's basically they're risking the proles, aren't they? But they're not risking themselves. So it's not about safety. If it's about safety, then you should be insisting that private schools reopen.
Because they're happy to encourage the general public to send their kids back to school in June when they're keeping their kids home till September.
Yeah, it's absolute bullshit. And I would actually I would still disagree that it was a good idea. But if they were doing the same thing, if they were taking the same risk, I would at least respect that they must think this is a good idea. But they don't, because they're not. They're not having to do this. Every single member of the cabinet who has kids of school age has kids in private school. They're not using state schools, which already is a bit of a sign that it's a fucking bunch of toff wankers in the cabinet. But whatever you think about that, basically, if it's safe for one group, it's safe for all groups. So stop fucking bullshitting and stop using us as cannon fodder. Stop trying to build your herd immunity bullshit. I'm sick of it. It's hypocrisy, it's dangerous, and the only thing I'm clinging on to is that for the first time, like, the other devolved nations have all gone, nope. And even within England, several councils have gone, nope. And I think maybe there is a sense of this, you're pushing us too far, you're taking the fucking piss. No, you can't keep doing this. This is not on. We're not going to stand for it. Because essentially, if everybody just doesn't send their kids to school, then nobody's in school, and then it's all a waste of fucking time. So that's what I would actually recommend everybody in England does. If you've got kids, don't send them to school.
What I have seen...
That's not a rule of thumb for life, by the way. Schools are good, but just for now, don't fucking do it.
What I have seen over the last week, increasingly, is kind of more people kind of talking about, well, you know, we need to think about bringing lockdown to an end because you've got to balance it against, you know, how people are going to be affected by recession or the economy being hit or loss of earnings or jobs, people's mental health, you know, all these things, and people are kind of... And also people just getting fed up of lockdown and wanting to go out and wanting to go back to work and wanting to be able to earn things. And all of which I get. And I think, like, on these vlogs, if you're watching these regularly, we tend to be on the other side of that, going, no, let's hold back, let's stay in lockdown, let's stay safe, let's err on the side of caution.
Aware of where the costs of that. There are legitimate costs of staying in lockdown. I do get it.
But, like... Yes, but I think it must almost look, you know, if certain people, maybe no one watching this feels this way, but certain people might sort of see our vlog and feel like we're dragging our heels and kind of digging our heels in and not, you know, and not wanting to go back to work or not, whatever it might be. And, you know, it's not like we're not missing stuff, and it's not like we're not wanting to go out sometimes or see people. You know, we get that. We want to go out and, you know, I want to go out and gig again.
Yeah.
Ellie wants to be running her escape rooms.
Oh my god. The amount I would pay for the nasty, I would love to run a stag do right now. Like, they're usually my worst groups, but a group of absolute fucking idiots, I would love that right now. I would love to run some games in the escape rooms. I'd love to open bookings and have people come to work and, like, just see different people and watch them have some fun, like, and make me some money.
And also,
I would love that.
And it's things that normally you'd be annoyed at.
I'd normally fucking hate a stag do.
Ellie's been out with me when we've been in, like, local pubs around here, and it's been a bit too busy, and I've just been really annoyed about the noise and, like, just, you know, because I'm becoming a curmudgeonly old man.
Becoming.
Yeah, in my mid-30s.
I get the impression this has just always been you.
No, I was, and you know, it's. I used to be quite cheery. But like,
the whole time I've known you, you've been a curmudgeon. It's not me that's done this to him. I'm not taking any of the blame for it.
I've embraced it.
I like that you're a curmudgeon. I'm a curmudgeon.
But you know, right now I would happily sort of wait 20 minutes at a bar because it's too busy and I can't get served. But that's fine because I know eventually I'll get served and there's drinks coming and there's people and there's music and it's nice.
Yeah, to be able to do that without having to be constantly conscious of the safety of it and the germs and or being hyper aware and hyper alert. To be able to do that and know it was safe. Oh my god! To be in a busy bar with a bunch of dickheads, but I'm with my friends and it's a busy bar. Like, just seeing different people watching. I fucking love people watching and I can't do any of it. I guess I could sit and look into the street and just wonder how many times people are walking their dogs per day. And
I had a bit of a down moment today. I felt a bit down because, a couple of things happened. One of them isn't really the main thrust of the point I'm trying to make, but I found out a Facebook friend had to put down their cat, and that I just felt a great sort of deal of.
I would imagine you empathised quite strongly with that.
We have 4 cats, and obviously one of them has been ill and she's getting better, but there was a bit of a. I mean, when she first broke her leg, we did have a bit of a panic about, what if, you know, and you know, and I wouldn't want to lose any of my cats or our dog, and so I had empathy with that. But also, I've just been thinking a lot about my family. Like, my family don't live locally, so I'm not missing seeing them day to day like some people would normally get to see their family all the time. You know, day to day, I don't really think about it in those terms because I don't get to see them all the time anyway. Yeah. But you know, it's knowing that I can't. It was kind of
thinking of even when lockdown is relaxed, we're still probably not going to be travelling across the country.
Yeah, public transport is still going to be dubious, and you know, and I was just thinking I'd love to meet up with all my family and have a big family meal, and I just don't know when that's going to be safe or possible to like sit at a table with all those guys and have some food and have a chat and have a catch up and just all be together. And even Christmas, like we spent last Christmas with Ellie's family, which was lovely. Had a really nice time. Her parents make delicious roast potatoes. That should be on record.
They really do. Best ones I've ever had anywhere in my life ever.
And we played games. We had a really nice time. That's lovely. Can't complain at all. But
the plan was always going to be we were all going to alternate.
Yeah. So
wasn't
this year we were going to go back to and I work in a job where sometimes it's not the easiest to get the time off around Christmas. So I made sure I went in at January, booked that time off, and now it's like, well, I don't know what the situation's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be safe by that. I don't know if we're going to have a second wave, if we're going to have another peak, if we're going to have another lockdown. Literally don't know what the situation is going to be in December. And I wish, so anyone, people who are kind of going, oh, you know, we need to get out, we need to end lockdown. I get it. I don't want to be in lockdown perpetually, but it's frustrating, I guess, when people kind of, maybe you see people on Facebook kind of implying like, oh, people... Oh, kind of all these
just enjoying the time off and just sort of essentially
people
just
on the
lazy
left don't see the other side of the argument, or they don't. You know,
honestly, we've been trying to see the other side of the argument really hard because I'd rather feel less fucking certain I'm right about any of this because the way I think it's going is really scary. I don't want to be right.
We want to be out. Yeah, I want to be out gigging. You want to be running escape rooms. That would be great, and earning money. We want to be, and we'd like to be able to do that, and be enthusiastic for that unambiguously, without the kind of fear hanging over us that it might be dangerous for ourselves or those around us. But we don't have that. That's a downbeat note to end on,
isn't it?
But I just think it's, you know, it's one of those things that maybe you're feeling the same way, and you've had similar days of just feeling a bit sad about people you can't see. So hopefully, you know, it's good to know that other people are going going through it as well. I don't know.
No, I think so. I think it's important to be open about how we're feeling about this because actually, like, whatever other people might be feeling it too, other people might be feeling opposite things, and then they can pipe up and sort of say their view on it, which maybe might be something that we haven't thought of, but I doubt it.
Maybe other people have got train-based board games still in the cellophane. You know, it's something for everyone, isn't there, Alice? Yeah,
right. Well, we better call it a day there. So yeah, we will talk to you tomorrow. Hopefully a less sad one. But yeah.
Not enough said. Good puppet news.
Yeah, great puppet news, and yeah, all good stuff. So yeah, we will update tomorrow. Talk to you then on day 61. Oh, fucking hell, these numbers are getting very big. I wonder what number we're going to get up to. Oh, God. I don't want to think about it. Right. Okay, guys. So, if you've had any thoughts, do give us a comment. Also, it'd be great if you'd share this around or share the clips that I will share with you around. Because that might lead to some future work for Chris when this is all over.
Share the sketches, and if you like them,
why not
tip us the cost of a coffee.
Like and subscribe, guys.
There's no shame in it.
There's no shame in it.